We're back. Yesterday I went and raked a couple of the fields that were fit and baled them. And I started trying on the pasture here, and it got later and it got tough. We've had temperatures in the high 90s, but super high humidity levels. And because of that, this hay has not been drying down real well. I got this wagon over here and another one still sitting up the road that I got to pick up. They got dry bales on them. And then this wagon from last night off the pasture that's about half too wet. So we'll have to feed most of these directly out to the cows over the next couple weeks before they spoil. And we're gonna have to start raking this stuff to try to get some drying time on it. I had raked this yesterday. I didn't finish baling it because it got too tough and started getting too wet. So I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna flip these rows over to try to get more air to it and heat. The sun, whatever we can to try to dry this out. We don't have much wind at all, so we're really just relying on the sun. With how hot and humid it is, it's really not wicking any moisture out. For an example of how humid it really is, yesterday I went and I washed one of the tractors off, and 6 hours later it was still wet. Other guys have been making hay in the area. I got some dry bales so far out of it. I'm really concerned as the Allis alfalfa is going to drive here at the farm, but we're going to give it our best shot. So the hay is very sun bleached on top, which is no surprise for how long it's been trying to dry. But you get inside the windrow and, well, looks nice and green yet, but it's tough. It's very tough. We'll flip this over, rake the other field, and hopefully we can get all this baled today. Hopefully it's fit. We'll find out. I've had our 424 International loader tractor hook up to the rake, and besides for one field having some pretty good hills in it, this thing's been handling it pretty well. Not to say it's going to be my permanent raking tractor, but it's definitely a thought now. Oh, well, and there's a bale from last night that I didn't get picked up. Kicked it out of the wagon, and I'll show you here in a little bit why that was so easy to do. Because we got to fix the baler just a little bit before we can bale today. Well, we finished flipping over everything in that pasture that I had raked up yesterday, and I'm going to go out to our 5.5 acre field over here that I haven't touched yet and rake it for the first time. But before I rake it, I'm going to check it and just see how it looks. I'll walk out here to some of the thicker parts of the stand. Pick it up, it's dry on top. And surprisingly enough, it's actually starting to dry on the bottom a little bit, which is really good. So if I get this rolled up and put in a row, there's a very good chance that it'll be dry by late this afternoon. Cut this, I did 6 passes around the outside before I started going up and down in the field. So we're going to start on our up and down strips and rake all them outward. And when we get that done, then we'll start from the outside working our way in to rake all the outside passes. Early this afternoon, depending on how this is drying, I might have to come back out here and flip the rows over one more time. I'm gonna lose leaves, but at this point, I don't know what else to do. So yesterday while I was baling, I noticed that the thrower had stopped moving from side to side. And I thought, well, maybe the hydraulics aren't working, and checked all that, and came down to the cylinder was moving, but the bracket that it was held to had completely cracked and broken off. So I'm gonna weld this plate in there and reattach the bracket with a lot more steel behind it. And hopefully that takes care of that issue. There, and after a little bit of welding, we got a 1/2 inch plate now welded to that 3/16 steel or so, maybe 12 gauge, heck, I don't know. Bolted back up, and we're back in business, which is great because I just went out and checked the hay, and it's ready to bale. And it's time to go to the field. I got the baler hooked up, and we're ready to go. So something that I had Ashley go grab for me this morning because I've never owned one of these, and with the humidity and how quickly things got wet last night, I bought my first moisture tester. In the past, I've always been able to make hay whenever it's been about fit, and this year with how humid it is, I figured it'd be well worth the investment to have that moisture tester. That way we can check bales, because I really don't want an issue this year in our barn. I love my barn. I really enjoy using it. I really like storing hay and straw up there. It's super convenient, and the last thing I want to do is burn it down because we put wet hay in the barn. So on that note, this moisture tester, it's gonna be well worth it. I was able to get the baler unfolded from sitting on the tractor. Now we just gotta put the pickup head down, pull the chain, push the lever back, and that's on the ground. Now, the first couple bales I pushed out of here last night's, I just tested are at 34% moisture, which is way too high. So I'm gonna make sure that when we start baling that I actually kick them off to the side and don't put them on the wagon. That way they don't go into the barn. And then once we clear these 3 bales out, I'm gonna come back here and actually tighten down the bale chamber. I counted from last night, roughly 20 turns. So we'll tighten it down 20 turns and see how that works. Well, now I've cleared all the bales out from last night, dropped them on the field. We're going to take a quick moisture test reading, and then I'm going to tighten this baler up. And we're reading so dry, this moisture tester is only good to 14.5%, and it's saying 14.5%. So we're at least at or below 14.5, if that makes any sense. Yeah. It's very dry. 1, 2, 18, 19, 20. And that's 20 turns on both sides. So we're gonna try it now and see what it does. Well, we just broke a bale, and I want to find out why. I want to find out if I burnt the string, being that it sat on the belt of the thrower too long, or do I have the baler wound too tight and it's actually giving a really nice tight bale and it broke apart because of tension, or missed a knot, or some other reason. So we're going to go back and take a look, and we're going to check the tension on the rest of the bales and also the moisture. We'll start by checking the moisture of some of these bales. Dry, 14.5 or lower, 15, 14.9, 15, that's 16.4. This one looks a little bit wetter. No, 15, nope, 14.7, okay. Might have a green slug in it though. 14.5, okay. Well, we're definitely dry enough, so now let's figure out why that bale actually broke its string. Here's 1/2 a string, and it's all intact. So the one side's good. What about the other half of the string? Where's that at? Oh, there it is. I'm gonna kick this loose hay off so the guys don't have to deal with it up at the barn and make a mess. Now we got that loose hay kicked off. Now we got that other end of that twine. Let's take a look at it. Well, it broke right after the knot. And it broke cleanly. So my guess, I don't have a good guess. Normally when I have this happen is because the baler's thrower belt burnt on it, but this one, it's right behind the knot. It didn't pull the knot apart. I've still got a knot intact, but it's right after the knot. So I can't educate you on anything because I honestly don't know what's going on. But if you do, let me know if you could. We just broke another bale. I ended up throwing it right into the end of the wagon. There's one part of the string. And that one, I don't know if the camera will focus on that, you can clearly see burnt on the belt. That I can live with. I can understand why that happened and try to do something about it. And just as a preliminary check, I'm checking to make sure that both of these are tied. The knots are tight. And everything looks good here. And the knotters, they look good too. So we're gonna keep baling. When I talk about belt burn from it, that bale is just before the belt for the thrower. Now we've made one whole round around. We're gonna check these bales again just to see what the last couple come off at, make sure that we're still within our dry range. And if we are, we're gonna keep going. 16.1, 14.5, 14.5. Let's try this one just for the heck of it. Let's have to think a little bit. We're at 17.5 in that spot, but it looks green there. Let's try just a couple inches over. 19.4. Well, that's not looking any better. And that part of the bale, 17.6. So we're right on the edge with that bale. But with my thought is we've got a majority of the bales super dry. That one bale hopefully should make a difference. I am gonna have the guys throw some feed salt on top of each row in the barn to help with some of this. And when we stack in the barn, we're actually gonna stack the bales with the cut side up. If you don't know what the cut side is, when you look at the baler, you know, most of these small balers should be the pickup side because it's the side that the knife runs on. And that side with the hay being cut there is more likely to let moisture out. So we try to put that side up if we can. But we're gonna keep baling for now. Well, I've just about got this wagon full, and how I know that is because I've started throwing bales up and they're starting to roll down. All of my help is starting to show up. Brent's here, Adam's on the loader tractor right now, re-raking that field for me, just flipping stuff over. Won't be too long and they'll start getting me new empty wagons. And maybe we'll put just a couple more on here. No use in stopping, right? That wagon's full. I've swung the chute off to the side so I can get to it, and I broke one bale on the conveyor and definitely belt burn. That'll self-eject itself here once we get going. I broke a total of 5 bales on this. According to that counter there, 170. There should be 165 then bales roughly to this wagon. And I don't think that's too bad. We've got quite a few more bales to make off this field. I'm figuring at least 400 on the low end, but we'll see. When we get done with this video, I'll leave a little yield information at the bottom, maybe a little table or something. We'll see what I can put together, letting you know roughly how we did on all this. I've not been putting any fertilizer on these fields. I'd like to start putting some chicken litter at some point on them. So the yield might be dragging just a little bit based on that. And I know that not too long ago I'd switched over twine, so I'm gonna go ahead now and just put new twine in. I won't need this twine to finish up today, but at least I'll have it for next time I go to bale. Find the end from the last bit of twine and the new twine. I'll pull from the center. Just go ahead and put those into a square knot. Hold it real nice and tight. I like to make sure both ends of the knots are tight. Same thing here. Pull the twine out from the center. A square knot. So we're going to cross them. Flip the one under, kind of loop them together. Flip the other one through the center. And then pull both ends. As we're getting close to finishing this field, so far I've broken 20 bales. Almost all of them were belt burned when I was turning around. I broke about 4 or 5 of them when I got into some really thick, heavy hay. And I didn't slow the tractor ground speed down enough. And I think I was pushing bales through too much, I don't know. Maybe bales were too loose hitting the belt and they didn't want to pull right. But anyhow, almost every bale that broke was some sort of belt burn, either because I couldn't get it off the baler or my own fault for not running the tractor ground speed at the right speed for what we were doing. But the baler's working really good. The little bit of work I did to it this spring and over the winter, which I didn't show you guys most of that, it's working really good, and I'm pretty happy with how it's working compared to what it was doing last year.